Okay, I just hit record, so
Good
you can
deal.
give it 5 seconds or so of quiet before you want to start talking, and we'll start that now.
Yeah. Well, hey there, everybody. I'm Michelle Perez, as always, joined by Jake, the producer, Ruben, the Ruben, and Eliza Gager. Eliza
Nice.
Gager, I'm
You can
in.
remember it because it says gay. It's gay is part of it. It's like it's right there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Neil Gaiman predicament all over again.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we're here everywhere, and a subject we were talking about several times in previous episodes was about the evolving nature of being a content creator in the current day and age where because of X amount of people being able to do something, the barrier for entry is lower, which is a double-sided sword. So you've got nothing but an easier time setting up X amount of content creation you want to do, be it music, writing, whatever. The downside is you are up against a job market where the thing you want to do is so inherently devalued that most of your competition is willing to do what you do or have done demonstrably for a period of time for little or nothing. And so new revenue streams have to flow. Number must go up at all cost. And one of the things we talked about that's an emerging market in number go up is the new type of personality that kind of falls under the general purview of not like parasocial by default, but people map a lot of their feelings into a non-traditional figure versus that which they already know. We have cartoons where people overindulge and they have X amount of things, or you have your personas. You have your fandom-based personas derived from an existing property, like the very well-adjusted and normal Steven Universe community. You have a lot of different type of rock
Notorious.
people doing the rock people thing. Sometimes normal.
There's always, just to butt in, there's always been hedgehogs in the Sonic the Hedgehog community.
There have been hedgehogs.
People have made their own hedgehog personas.
Yeah, a very interesting figure. We were speaking to Colin Space Twinks before, and we didn't get into it completely, but yeah, just a big old marketplace of Christian / evangelical generalized hedgehog people with a sort of hedgehog based identity, and the new hedgehog based Christian identity of the future is going to be Vtubers.
For at least a little while, it seems.
YouTubers that are traditional, like say your Jenna Marbles. Earlier today, Ruben and I were talking about David Dobrik, and we were basically talking about the fact maybe David Dobrik has, in polite terms, maybe indentured servants. A more traditional word for that might be slaves, which, take that as you will. But the VTuber is an entity that is from a scene I came from on Tumblr, where there was everybody and their brother had a persona. I have one now for some years. I don't really do anything with it, but hey, it's there. It's neat. And yeah, so what's weird to me about VTubers is basically that it's kind of a persona moving around, doing shit, and exuding this presence, this thing that people can glom onto, and have all of these feelings about, and develop fandom senses for, while doing regular daily things, singing, now playing video games and such. And I just kind of wanted to look into the future, because when I think of this stuff, I think of where that stuff propagates, and I think of social media. And a big thing in social media is machine learning. And I'm reminded of 2016, a Verge article I read by James Vincent. Basically, it was reshared via The Guardian on The Verge, where, yeah, Microsoft made an AI chatbot and it became racist in less than a day. And I thought, if there's a place that VTubing will eventually end up, it will end up like everything else, where the job of the writer, for example, there have been scripts produced based off of a screenwriting algorithm, and they had like traditional everyday actors in there. And so I'm imagining sort of Blender artists making prepackaged assets of these sort of things, and then we just have our media created by and large by the expectations filtered into algorithmic machine learning. And I think VTubing could go this way, not now, because
It's
where we're at now.
I can't believe I'm just now thinking of this, but what you're talking about in essence is the plot of a mid-2000s sci-fi drama where they make a fake pop star. And I can't believe it took me forever to
Simone.
yes, Simone. God dang. Simone is the original VTuber. Or not original, but I'm sure there's other stuff from before that.
It's hologram, it's got a big ass.
VTubing, what you're kind of predicting here is VTubers almost progressing into a Simone type scenario of we've removed the human element from this and we're simply programming it.
You can make the argument that a lot of Netflix runtimes and subject matter is going, or is there in that direction already. So what's the next logical step? And for me, I want to think of the worst possible outcome. A lot of people with their political thinking, what's the stupidest possible outcome? When I think of the erasing of like work and then like reverence for work, oh man, it's gonna be worst possible outcome, where you can't even like glean Schadenfreude from. And Tay, what was the name? Tay Tweets went from basically boilerplate, hello, I'm a fucking robot, to over the course of a day being like a chill, I'm a nice person, I just hate everybody. And the replies to, I fucking hate feminists and they should all die and burn in hell, to Hitler was right, I hate the Jews.
I think the I'm a nice person, I hate everybody's an interesting turn. But we're kind of not at that point yet, right? Like,
I know, but I'm wish casting, baby. I want to see the new incarnation of dog shit, because I don't really like where culture is at in the current moment, and I'm trying to think of people trying to repackage kind of what we come to expect from media now. It's like very savvy. There'll be like a lot of NGO / intersectional messaging or this or that, which however you might feel about that. I also know the people that use that in bad faith constantly. Shit, I was reading today that Neera Tanden is going to be in charge of the austerity budget of the Biden administration, which I'm sure she's going to have a lot of great words and descriptors and adjectives to sort of rebrand tightening your belt. And this is the way in which I am fucking you and you specifically, but I'm going to say it nicely. And I feel like culture and media will go in that direction. And folks, you love to see it. That said, let's talk about VTubers, baby.
Yeah, so Michelle, we're not there yet, right? We're at the point where the novel part about this is that there actually is someone else on the other side. I think that's one of the things we should dive into today.
Yes, that's
like,
true. I do like the humanity inherent in it.
Yeah,
for all its
we are at
weird
this
warts.
point where there's something about, like, I kind of ignored the VTuber thing for a while because I was just simply like, oh, that's very novel, but quite thoroughly not my bag. That's fine. And then I started just seeing the funny little snippets that got posted, and I was like, oh, I get this. Like, Inugami, so one of the VTubers that's very popular right now, not an independent VTuber, part of a corporation, is Inugami Korone. Anyone who's heard of VTubers probably seen clips of this person, just mimicking sounds from Banjo-Kazooie, Ikum Bokum, classic video game moment. And that was kind of the first thing that clicked for me. I think the other thing was that there was another video of her opening a door in Doom and saying that secret rooms are things that boys like, which just felt like such a truth and also an own at the same time.
Very cellar door quality to it, or 4T books if you prefer.
So like I see these two posts and I suss out that, like, all right, well, this is clearly happening for a lot of people. Like, I'm seeing a small slice of this experience that is entertaining, probably something in the thousands at this point. And there's just this weird, I kind of got it because the tension is like they're face rigged. So these are people where this lineup, and we're going to talk to Eliza a little bit later about hopefully like how that sort of works. But there's this interesting moment of, like, I think it's a very simple blinking and then the minor movements. Like, you almost imagine the person watching the VTuber, or playing the VTuber rather, sitting in their seat and actually kind of like, yeah, it's their natural movement, but at any given time, since they're in character, they must be like playing to the subtle movements of these rigs. And it adds this, like, it's just this, like, that's this human element. I think that's like what AI would have trouble simulating almost. Like, it would almost be too perfect if the VTuber just talked like an actual cartoon character. I think this middle ground is almost what's interesting about VTubers. Like, when you just see the blank thing stare, but then it blinks a little bit, and then there's that natural noise behind it. It's this level of separation that I think we're gonna hopefully dig into.
Oh, there are holes in it, or the things you can pick apart easily. The movements of the mouth.
And then the tech, as it gets better too, it's like very endearing to see how, like, I was researching, just like there's the simple 2D stuff all the way up to full on I'm moving my hands and legs VTubers. And so, like, it just seems like sort of like what you were saying in the intro. We have this landscape before us, and the thing that I've noticed the most about it is that it's just blown up. It's gone from our first VTuber becoming popular in like around 2018, like the first VTube personality that's kind of on the record started in late 2016. But as far as like getting a lot of notoriety, it really seems to have picked up almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, there was a big series of VTubers where I came into learning about it was like, I guess, the sense of humor from the people that had come to enjoy them, where it was like, okay, we're playing GTA 5 now, and in the opening you're playing as Franklin after the whole shootout with Michael or whatever, and then your buddy Lamar basically shit talks you and has a very pointed and eloquent and hilarious way of saying the N-word at Franklin, to which the VTubers would repeat that verbatim. It was like upwards of 10 of them that would say that in a Japanese accent, to the point where it became a meme unto itself. And then VTubers in the future made a point to not overemphasize or even say the N-word loudly in a cutesy Japanese voice, which you gotta love the future, man.
Yeah, it's just this it's this time of, so we have this starting to break in 2018. I've that's like where I've started to see a lot of coverage. That's where Kizuna Ai started being very popular. And then from there to here, we have a veritable explosion of companies like Hollow Live and Niji Nishi. It's essentially like the analog I see that I think is roughly accurate is sort of the talent houses they have built up around J-pop and K-pop, with this model applied to, we're going to have auditions for these VTubers. We're going to have these personalities probably worked on by multiple teams, and we're going to find someone to cast in the role of this. And that whole process is, I'm sure, very just wild. Like it's kind of not the side of it that we're looking into today as much because it's so professional, but it just seems like there's going to be this but there's going to be like sort of this pipeline almost. I wouldn't be surprised to see like independent VTubers getting scouted in the future, right? There's all sorts of possibilities, but HoloLive seems to be one of the major ones that's breaking through. That is a larger company. That's like the dog streamer who I was referencing earlier, who was playing Banjo-Kazooie.
Right.
Corone, right. Is a HoloLive owned streamer. But what I think is interesting is that a lot of this tech is becoming available. It's not like Face Rig, I didn't even realize, is like crowdfunded until I was like looking into this stuff. So it's not just companies that have control over this. It's just like anything, it's now this new medium landscape, and you have interests that are able to put a ton of capital into producing stuff. And you also have people out there that are doing the indie film equivalent of VTubing. That stuff's been pretty interesting to kind of check out, mostly because it's really varied, and you just see kind of the breadth of how this Face Rig stuff is playing out across, I guess, like the scope of people who have access to it. I didn't even like try to get into a VTuber, but I think I mentioned this on a podcast. In effort to learn a video game, I found a guy who was like, the way he was promoting his video game content was to take on a VTuber persona. Didn't really try for the cutesy anime girl angle of it, but did make like a B-shoujo boy anime avatar and kept his voice like totally the same. And it's a pretty cool bit. And now, and like, you know, like in the FGC, people have their tags anyway. So wait, of course I'm like blanking right now. This guy's tag is Lukewarm Holiday. He basically turned his gamer tag into like a VTuber persona. And so it's like, not only is it like an independent VTuber, it's like someone basically evolving themselves. Like if I were to take like making a 50s Batman avatar into an active like Adam West fake Batman VTuber persona, it would be like that kind of vibe. That's like the aesthetic I use for all of my posting. So like, it kind of makes me look out into the future, like you were saying, Michelle, and like wonder, like, are we just gonna, like, when you're in 10 years, when you're 13, will you have to make your VTuber persona like to be cool?
Well, I don't think it's that simple. But basically,
well, no, but that's, yeah.
For me, I mean, does everyone have to be a content creator? If the job situation is like
right,
capped
so
and awful, yes, question mark. But then, like, does every kid now have a YouTube page and have YouTube output? No.
Certainly, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a ceiling for output and making things.
But it does seem to be something where the ability for, I think, because everything is a character, there's this unique, like, I don't know. It feels like I'm very curious to see how VTuberism pans out in the independent sense. If independent VTubers just become like big YouTubers, sort of becoming entities unto themselves, or if they clash with this sort of like corporate model. But honestly, it all feels very new still. Like it feels like only this year, because of COVID, because everyone's inside a bunch, that it's gone from I would say a rather niche while still big interest to something that I can't avoid. Like I could no longer avoid VTubers this year. It was breaking out, and that's why we're here talking about it today in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I think my first exposure to it was like the GTA 5 stuff and just being like, man, I could see which way this is going. This is going to fucking blow ass. But at the same time,
kind of does it. Like,
yeah, I get that. I'm just curmudgeonly about a lot of this.
Charmed. No, yeah, I'm trust me, I'm the most curmudgeonly, and it's like at the end of the day, you know, and I think Eliza spoke to this a little in a different episode as well, that like it's kind of more fun than real life people, at least for now. Like it creates this element of separation where I think you might be muted on your end if you just spoke up. It creates this element of separation where the person playing them doesn't have to show themselves. It's more of like, it would be easier for me to get into a role perhaps if I knew that there was a layer of separation between me and my audience that was not my face. It was someone else's face, right? All right. Looks like Eliza's having some sound, but we'll fix that.
Yep,
yeah.
Yep. Let's give it like a tiny break for a second. We can cut that.
Working on it. Working on it.
Yeah.
I hit record again, so we're just back. Yeah, we had a bump.
Baby.
Everybody who's listening.
A little bump in the road, bumperoonie.
A little bump in the technical, and now we can hear everybody again, so we should be all good.
Yeah.
We
we're talking about basically before a little bit of an error. We were gonna ask Eliza slightly about the process of the face rigging, and I guess the recognition bits that say this is eyes, this is mouth, etc.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, this stuff has been codified. I think to go back to the beginning, you would have to think about, for example, Disney's Snow White, which was made with rotoscoping. Actually, the model who acted for Snow White and was traced over by the animators to, animate the very lifelike scenes that Snow White did, like dancing and, interacting with objects and stuff. That was all traced from a live model. So she died recently, in her 90s or something. But yeah, so that's been going on forever. My arch nemesis, the man I hate most in the world, Ralph Bakshi, is very famous for doing that. And it is one reason why his animations are so incredibly uncanny and unpleasant a lot of the time, is because they are rotoscoped. So, I mean, the uncanniness is one of the problems, and it's one of the reasons why the modern version of rotoscoping, which is motion capture, where people get into suits that are covered in ping pong balls, it's one reason why a lot of the CGI that we see in, big blockbuster movies looks so terrible. And it looks like someone has rigged up a corpse, because just when you're using a computer to detect automatically the movement of ping pong balls on a suit, you're losing a lot of nuance. So you fall into the uncanny valley between, hi, I'm an animated character, bop, 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 and an actual real person. And the uncanny valley is like, it's not really one thing or the other. I think we're all familiar with the uncanny valley concept at this point.
I think for a viewer that maybe has seen it but not known they've seen it, there's the recent Star Wars Rogue One, where they resurrected fucking Grand Moff Tarkin and put all of these light assets, ILM assets on this guy's face, and he looks like a
turned him into Peter Cushing.
He looks like a moving Madame Tussauds wax doll. It's terrifying. He's scarier than fucking Darth Vader.
It sucks.
Who he is trying to be like imposing near. Oh,
the first time this really came to public consciousness was Polar Express, which everyone in this chat is old enough to remember, when that came out, and we were probably all teenagers at that point, or,
Robert
and
Zemeckis.
it
Mhm.
sucks ass. But if you go to YouTube and you look up any Polar Express clip or trailer, there will be thousands of people in the comments going, I love this movie. It's my favorite Christmas movie. And it's just like, what is wrong with your brain? And I think some people have the ability to recognize and react with revulsion to the uncanny valley effect, and some people just don't have it. And I would be interested to see a study on neurodivergence and how it maps onto that, because I would bet you that people who are not good at detecting like human facial expressions or, interacting with complex social behaviors, I bet
For
that they
sure.
are also bad at picking out. I think that they would also be able to watch Polar Express and not throw up.
I think, yeah. I just
That's
remember.
that's
They
my
drift-
like
they drift the train.
supposition.
On the ice so that it gets back on the tracks because the tracks froze over.
Wow, I wonder who put who was
Rest of the
in the
movie's
meeting
terrible.
that gave a note. Hey, can we work a drifting scene into this?
God, drift
It's
over the
weird
ice.
to me because Robert Zemeckis is not bad at that stuff. Like he did
Yeah, he
Mm,
keeps like refining it. They did a Scrooge one, right?
he did Zathura, right? Do you remember that?
Oh.
It's
Ooh.
Zathura
I thought
is
he was a
I
producer on
do
it, but it was a
remember that.
Jon Favreau directed movie. It's what he
Space
did before Iron Man.
Zathura or Polar
Yeah.
Express.
Yeah,
Zathura,
Zathura.
not
okay.
Polar Express.
I love talking about Zathura because no one's ever seen it because it's a children's movie, right? But it honestly has
Yeah.
some of the best combination of what we're talking about, of like we were talking about unsuccessful mocap. Zathura is almost 100% successful in its combination of CGI and real effects. And the reason is because they built the entire house on a gimbal. So the entire house in space is like
That's
throwing
tight.
these actors into walls and shit like that. And when they had the meteor scene, they had like actual what are they called? Just blanks like exploding on the floor. And so that's
Oh, sure.
we're getting way off topic here, but this is like one of the things I'm passionate about, is sort of the intersection of artifice and real life as it applies to theater. And so VTubing is a type of theater. It's literally a puppet show. Somebody gets into a mascot suit, and the mascot suit is run by a computer, but it is a mascot suit, and every aspect of that mascot suit has been built by other human beings. And then, we do the performance. So, I mean, actually, GTA 5 is a really good example to talk about here, because I think that Rockstar has one of the most successful cutscenes and character modeling of any of the AAA studios. And I don't know why exactly this is, but even if you go back to something as crude as GTA 4, those cutscenes are still completely watchable. They look good. They really don't trigger the uncanny valley revulsion too much, even if, like the entire hand is sort of modeled as a mitten. For some reason, they are still very good at mocapping. And then I think what they do is I think they crank their mocapping up a little bit, which is really important with CGI mocapping. And it's important with VTubing too. If you don't want to look like a corpse, you have to overemphasize the movements and facial expressions.
Yes.
People have not really caught on to this yet. I'm familiar with Corona the dog guy because he actually does do that well. He does have the sort of overemphasized facial expressions and movements. So his rig is more successful than like your basic anime girl VTuber who's just kind of doing this and like flapping her mouth.
Yeah.
But all of those different levels of animation complexity and sophistication, they each have individual audiences. So Polar Express likers are going to be fine with, mouth flapping anime girl, and people to whom that, people who don't like that are going to want something more sophisticated. But yeah, I mean, basically, if you open up Adobe Character Animator or whatever it's called, which is the first
wow.
program that I pirated. Yeah, Adobe has a VTubing program now. I don't know if you do that.
I do remember seeing something about that, but I didn't realize it was actually out.
Yeah, it's out. It's been
Okay.
out for a while. It comes preloaded with a bunch of characters, including anime characters, with different levels of rigging. Some of them are very interesting. There's one that's actually a claymation model, and they just took 2D pictures. Adobe Character Animator is all 2D. Let me make sure I'm saying that name right. It's Character Animator 2020. So one of them's it's all 2D, which is just like layers sort of sliding on top of each other, and then if you
Right.
turn your head enough, it will flip to a different drawing, and you can make that as detailed or as simple as you want. Um, some of these, I think Face Rig has the ability to support 3D, and I think Corona is 3D, right? He's not. He's a 3D model.
Quite a few of the Corona is so we were talking about two, one of which is an indie model, and then Corona is like a full on, I think, 3D model of the HoloLive people.
Yeah.
And that's the one where I was saying, like what you noted was, it could be a 15-second clip of her just moving her head and blinking, and the chat would be going wild about it because of that kind of like overemphasizingness of it. And that like level of it, like you're right, it is very much like she's moving a puppet almost.
Yeah. And puppeteering is its own art. So I think the most interesting thing for me, and the reason why I started building my own puppet, is I am interested in the skill that is, we're not seeing it yet, but we're going to see it very shortly, is people developing their puppeteering skills with these puppets.
Yes.
Hand tracking is difficult right now. Not a lot of programs support it. Sometimes you need to get doohickeys that go on your hands that track them, and sometimes there are other programs that can do it with a camera, but they're not very good at it. So if I open Adobe Character Animator, it has a little in the upper right corner, there's my webcam preview, and it says, look, assume your neutral position and then click set rest pose. And so it will zero out all of your axes and, movement balls and stuff like that. And then it will automatically detect your face and add basically ping pong balls to
calibrations.
Yeah. And so you can see the ping pong balls all over your face, and it tracks those motions and then maps them onto whatever character you have. So it is exactly the same as mocap has always been, except now they're doing the entire thing inside the machine. And you know what? It's not that hard. I mean, I've been doing digital art since I was 14, so I this stuff isn't difficult for me, but I was expecting to just bounce off this. Like, I'm 30 or 40 years old. I don't need this. But really, it's not complicated. Literally, anybody could boot this up and use it if they have any experience with Photoshop, because it's the same shit.
I think that's
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying it is so remarkable to me that how the ease of use. When I first saw a VTuber, my instant assumption was, well, they have to be wearing something, right? Because look at this. It's kind of nuts. How could this just be a webcam?
I think.
And then lo and behold, like I would imagine at the higher end, you're right, like especially with the hand tracking and stuff like that. But to then have that assumption in my head and then to just see like BTS like something about oh yeah, no, this is just me moving and here's the anime character on YouTube and it's doing it right now, and all we're using is a Logitech webcam and a CPU. It's wild. It's some very future feeling type stuff.
I'm looking at this Corona link. This is not who I was talking about. I was talking about the guy who has a Shiba Inu suit, and he's like a dog with.
I've seen that. Yeah. That's so that was actually one of the other times I saw Face Rig, and it was just a YouTuber. He's like a real life guy named Majin Obama, who he's got a YouTube channel called Anime Illuminati, and they don't really do they're not primarily VTubers, but for fun he did get this Shiba Inu Face Rig.
Okay, yeah.
That is like it was one of the first I saw that was very good with eye tracking.
It's one of the defaults on Face Rig. I think if you buy Face Rig, it comes with the dog. Yeah.
It was very much something that he was like doing for fun on stream, and then he happened to make a somewhat viral video while he was using it.
Yeah. Corona looks like a 2D model to me, just like a pretty sophisticated.
All the layered, very layered 2D. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. So it's easy. I think I don't really see it reaching a mass audience. I think Twitch is probably going to lose a lot of users after COVID, or at least see a precipitous drop in growth.
It does feel a little bit of the moment, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of established VTubers, definitely, but I wouldn't see this as like a everybody needs a VTube thing. I mean, Bitmoji didn't catch on. This shit has never caught on in a universal way.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Bitmoji, is that the Apple thing?
I don't know who makes it. It's just that, the worst people on the internet have those little ugly avatars that they put in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Xbox Live character generator.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is. I think one of the times
Generic
I saw
character maker.
a Bitmoji was like
They're all over Facebook.
what's that one awful Rainbow Bright rapper, Jake?
Rainbow Bright rapper?
Yeah, the snitch
Like a
guy.
SoundCloud rapper?
Yeah, the SoundCloud snitch guy.
Takeshi 69.
Oh
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, one of the first few times. One of the first times I saw like a Bitmoji sort of thing was him, and I was like, I fucking hate this. This sucks.
It sucks.
It's awful.
It's ugly. One of the things that Adobe Character Animator can do, and I haven't done this yet because I was so disgusted by the idea, is that it will lead you through a wizard which will take photos of your actual face and then turn photos of your face into an animated character. And they were like, would you like to do this? I'm like, would I like to see my animated lifeless corpse moving around and speaking with my voice? No, thank you. Hard pass. I mean, I'm going to have to do it eventually but
of course.
There's like I think
there was the animate Snapchat filter.
Oh yeah.
That was a hit for a few weeks. That felt like right alongside the VTuber stuff as that was becoming popular earlier this year.
It made very weird choices. Like everybody,
it's very generic.
It didn't exaggerate anybody. It's that thing I'm talking about. Everybody's face was too long because it was like exactly mapped, so it didn't look like anime. It looked like how to draw anime. And all of the colors were just like brown because they were just neutraled out. So low effort. I didn't like it.
The creation has been kind of interesting, I guess. So we're kind of thinking about, or the way I'm thinking about it, I guess, is that you have to make this rig in Adobe Character Creator, and then right? Is it? So that's the thing. Is that running while you're streaming through a video source or whatever?
Yes.
I guess like the live mechanics of it are very interesting to me, right?
It becomes a video source within your system. So if you're running OBS, for example, there's two ways that you could bring it into OBS. You could either capture the window, which would be sort of like the ham-fisted approach, and then it also will run a Siphon server from within Adobe Character Animator. And Siphon is just a way to get media from one part of your computer to another. So if you activate the Siphon server, then OBS will have that as a device that you can select and then put onto your whatever else you're broadcasting to Twitch or YouTube or whatever, and with transparency, which is handy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, this idea that, well, it's like any live. It's a live puppet show. Yeah, I mean, I really think the puppet metaphor is quite well said.
One I had seen where someone sort of does a Space Coast, coast to coast looking broadcast is from Megaspell.
Okay.
She basically does a Twitch show, talk show format. Either has someone as a 3D avatar of some sort, while she's like a digitalized version of herself as a disembodied head with very complex physics rendering her hair. And you have some people opt for like a digital sort of representation. Like I saw what's his face, shout out to okay, let me look. The fellow what does Mr. Boop, Alex, God, the bad Alex namer,
right?
Alec Robbins.
Mr.
I'm
Boop
doing
guy.
great right now. Yeah, no, I know him more as Mr. Boop than Alec Robbins, but yeah, you do interviews with her and all of these various figures. Left at London, a lot of different people. and just talk show format, which seems like a cozy thing to do right now, all things considered, given the inherent nature of a talk show across the board is kind of on the rails.
Yeah, it does feel like the thing I keep coming back to is that this like an explosion of VTube is so, well, maybe not one for one, but just feels so tightly closed, tightly tied to COVID and the world we're living in right now, and how it's just forcing us all to stare at screens in the first place.
It turned everybody into hikikomori.
Right. Yeah, it's just the way now. And what better way to inject some I guess like something new into your routine that has developed over this year than to see a live cartoon entertaining you rather than another freaking real video face on a real video screen. That's no longer novel. Like watching a guy talk at you is now something people have to do every day. It just feels like maybe, well, not maybe, but like the layer of separation is like very key here, I think, where a lot of YouTube audiences are not interested in watching regular streamers, it seems. They're there for the anime cutesiness. They're there for the girly voices. They're there for the good times of loud noises and mouth sounds that happen.
They should all be destroyed.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like this audience is very interesting. Like even as I was looking up a lot of this stuff, it was filtered through people who were who were they themselves VTuber like reviewers. We're at this point now where you have VTubers on YouTube, and then you have YouTube channels devoted to reviewing those VTubers because there's so many of them. And within that culture, everything I saw about reviewing VTubers was really centered around like, we want to look at these cute anime girls all the time. We want to watch these cute anime girls play games. We want to be friends with these cute anime girls, and we want to simp for these cute anime girls. And it was just like over and over and over. Like it was like all built into what they were talking about with VTubing in the first place. Which is like where I want to go is away from that. Like give me the VTubers that are just like a fucking cactus or like a talking like statue or something. Just give me the weird shit.
This was where
and, I don't want VTubers to have to be tied to
16-year-old
like,
anime girl.
Anime girl. Yeah, it's just fucking come on, man.
I was talking to Ruben earlier today in a separate chat. Like Ruben, what type of VTubers like how many different sorts are there?
Yeah.
What kind of books you're looking at? Like just in terms of like theming or like what their activities
Well, I
are?
mean, there's theming, but
aesthetics,
like,
I suppose.
Yeah. There's like aesthetics, like
of the actual
dude,
avatars,
the little dude or dudette.
I mean, we're looking at
not necessarily what they're doing.
Non-conforming object.
At least for non-conforming ones, other than seeing Anime Illuminati use that the cookie cutter shibe, we're looking at anything that has any kind of following, that 100K or so, are all just some anime chick. Most of them that are backed by a company are also canonically 15 years old, according if the VTuber Wikipedias or fandom wikis are to be believed. So it's kind of not really a diverse landscape. It's still very much an early industry that shows a lot of upward momentum. Not really any numbers that you can track outside of companies that also hide most of their numbers. I couldn't find a lot of like salaries or confirmed, like what people are making from certain sites or here and there.
So like ad revenue or whatever, where maybe sometimes a YouTuber will make an overture to that. VTuber, it's like.
So VTuber,
there's like only. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just saying, like, the only stuff I've seen with that has been from independent VTubers talking about demonetization. The rest of it is very curious to me about how these sponsored ones who do take donations during their streams, like, how that factors into. It's not very clear how that factors into whatever they actually make for a living.
So yeah,
Probably not good.
Yeah, versus being employed by a corporation.
As far as we can tell, it's not a great amount. There have been incidents such as Kiryu Coco having a video of her first salary, April 1st, 2020. And it was her just complaining that she didn't get paid enough on her first check and was just talking shit about her company not paying her a lot. But she also said they expressly forbid her from sharing the number on stream. Most people are only going off of what few numbers they can find, such as revenue from Super Chat, which was how YouTube was having VTubers stream, and then Super Chat is like how you get them to see a message. The VTuber would turn on Super Chat and pay to get a message up there that they can read.
It's like the bit system on Twitch, I think, where
it's essentially
your message is highlighted for X amount of dollars.
Yeah, it's essentially just something like that. People could find some numbers on how much that was pulling down towards a company, and there were some loose percentages thrown around that they are at a 30% cut after taxes, YouTube, and their parent company. So people are saying at best, a majority of the field probably that is doing it professionally and is backed by a company is getting like $30K a year, and it's considered a side job. Very good personalities, top talents are probably at $60K a year. But yeah, it's not really variable.
Jesus
ads
Christ.
and everything. No matter how many ads you get, millions of people that you're pulling in, whatever the fuck
the
you're
amount
doing.
of work you're putting in.
Yeah, that's
this is why I don't understand why people work for big companies. The pay cuts are just unfucking believable. And I've tried to get the word out about this on a different platform, OnlyFans, because that's the other thing that's happening in during the pandemic is that all of these women are unemployed now, and so they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll sell some lewds on OnlyFans. But the problem with OnlyFans is it takes an enormous fucking cut. It's like 15-20%, something like that. And unless you are like doing hardcore porn, there is no reason to be signing up to OnlyFans instead of like Patreon, which allows nudity. So, if you're listening to this and you went to OnlyFans instead of just Patreon or something, leave. Take your subscribers, go to Patreon. Patreon takes like, I don't know, like a 5% cut or something like that. So I think a lot of people just like, it's sort of like signing a record deal. You think that you need to sign a record deal in order to, make a name for yourself. And that is not true. And it hasn't been true since, God, the turn of the century.
Yeah.
It's just that people need to go indie more.
Yeah, I will say the independent stuff that I found with VTubers, just to cite this guy, his name is Korewa Eden on YouTube, and he makes very well produced. He's a VTuber reviewer. This is what I stumbled upon that I can't really not saying I'm subscribing to his channel, but to put credit where it's due, he is out there literally rounding up all of the list of these VTubers who are not associated with Hot Alive or Niji Nishi, and it's pretty cool. Like there's quite a few. There's even some. What I found was kind of neat is that there seems to be like there's splinter groups. So it's not like there's this middle ground between being a VTuber in a corporation and being just your one person. You team up with a few other people and kind of
basically you start like an ad hoc affiliate system. Basically a lot of hoes in a certain point in time on Twitter basically formed group chats, had similar senses of humor and friendships and etc. And they got together and realized, hey, I have 10,000 followers, you have 10,000 followers, this or that. Then they figured out after talking about things and talking to tech buddies they had, all right, here's what happens to my numbers when shadow banning happens.
Yeah.
Here's what I can do where I put my backup over here or whatever. Well, then since we have this ad hoc sort of affiliate thing, when I put something up, let's try to get X amount of retweets on that because you have people that will retweet this site or on site and basically try to get around the terrible engagement gaming and just try to have like an upward arc of advertising within a closed system. just basically.
It's a web ring.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's weird. It's weird kind of seeing that. Well, not weird in a bad way, but like weird seeing it propagate amongst grassroots people who would never sort of see themselves as like taking these steps kind of consistent with that, doing that. But I think that's going to be how you move forward, because everything else is branding. When you take that shitty record deal or whatever, the soft sell to you is that you're getting X amount of exposure and you're in the big leagues, but you're making, $30,000 a fucking year. You're like, maybe in 6 years you're going to make a down payment on your fucking student loans.
Probably don't even own rights to the character.
You don't
probably. If I would bet that if you leave the corporation, you have to leave your character too.
So that's what I've been curious about, and that's one of the
thing for people that want to control that. All right, one sec. Yeah, Ruben, what's up?
So about that actually is so that they call that is graduating, is that an AI or a VTuber essentially has their voice actor, either they retire the character, there has been a character that's already been retired. We call this graduating. When someone graduates from their company, they are moving on to bigger things. They wish them goodbye and good luck in the future. And this is typically meaning someone is fucking fired, because a character that continues, of course, you have no rights or parole anything with you. You're a jobber, you're a fucking part-timer, and when you leave the character,
you don't own that model.
Yep, we adopt a new VA and slip someone right in, and your next stream is taken over by your replacement.
Like the Dread Pirate Roberts. Holy shit.
They Dread Pirate Roberts. Every VTuber does not get explicitly retired due from lack of popularity. So typically graduating would just be like a VA graduates, someone else comes in, and then we don't talk about that. If we graduate a VA, if we graduate a VTuber, the character is typically retired and makes like a retirement speech saying like, I'm leaving Hollow Live, bye everybody. And then they're gone. The first instance, maybe not the first instance, one of the bigger instances of this occurring was August 15th this year, was a VTuber, Mono Aloe, and I'll put that in the chat. Y'all can see a picture of this like demon girl. And what happened was on her debut, she's like, hey, it's me. Check out my channel in the future. Look forward to it. Then she immediately got banned by her own company for 2 weeks, suspended because they did a test of her character model on Twitcast, just like a, just like a live stream platform that I'm not familiar with, app thing. And that breached her contract to show the character before her release date. And then she was like, oh, sorry about that, company. I'll do better. And then immediately following her suspension, she barely got to do like another couple videos or whatever it was, and then was immediately doxxed. It seems like it was her ex-boyfriend that dropped her information off of a breakup recently. And because she got doxxed, suffered severe harassment, had to go out there and be like, I hope you guys can support me. Things are rough with all this and stuff. She was retired at the end of that month, August 31st. We have that Mono Aloe is retiring, or is graduating from Hollow Live and leaving the crew. So there was speculation among fans the graduation wasn't because it was rough stuff and she's like, I'm just fucking out of here, and threw her hands up, and they were like, we haven't even established the character, so there's no worth in her, so we'll drop her instead of replacing her with a new VA. Because of the drama, people are theorizing that the company was putting her under for getting doxxed, and it's like, you fucking brought your dirty laundry in here and just fucking threw her out the door, destroyed the character and everything to sweep her under the rug.
This is all over the course of 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like within a month period, but essentially.
Yeah.
The life and death of a YouTuber.
Well, that's extremely common for managed female talent. The morality clause is either explicit or implicit in your contract. If you get pregnant or divorced or gay or whatever, you're fucked. That has been an issue with female talent, again, for hundreds of years. Like, as long as the entertainment industry has existed in any country on earth. So
And
Yeah.
and that morality clauses apply to everything, like even football, like any major sports figure you know or see. Same shit. Uh, God, what was his face? The guy from Washington. Uh, God, I forget his.
So can you
I
name someone
forget
from
him. He was
Washington?
big on Skittles. Oh God, it's gonna
Oh.
kill
Oh,
me.
Mm,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
is it
Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn
Marshawn
Lynch.
Lynch?
Yeah, his whole thing was like being inaccessible and sort of antagonistic towards a lot of that for that reason, that you're sort of pigeonholed into what you can and cannot say. And it's like, why not just flip that on its head and say, no, I have nothing to say to you. I have no reverence to give to you, because obviously the same isn't given to me in kind. You want me for my benefits on the field, what I bring to your city or whatever, but can I be my own person? Fuck no.
Oh, it's like the NFL cheerleaders. Have you read about that? About they're not allowed to have boyfriends. They're not allowed to like talk to this team. There's all these weird things about what they were allowed to wear in public or post or not
Yeah.
post on their own social media, how they had to behave in hotels, and if any of these millions of horrible rules were broken by, adult women, grown women who are in their 20s,
Mhm.
they would be fucking fired and sometimes fined or sued. So, I mean, yeah, it does. It happens to male talent as well, but it's not nearly to the
Oh
extent.
yeah. No, I wouldn't be. I'm not taking that position. I would say just across the board in terms of things that people latch onto. Because obviously uh, the first thing I would think of is the Kaepernick thing and all of the
Mm-hmm.
protests
Oh,
Totally.
sure.
and
That's
all
Yeah,
of that.
easily one of the most high-profile examples we have recently.
And
absolutely.
obviously, this doesn't map to VTubers 1-to-1 at all. But in terms of disposability, uh, even after he had done that or whatever, I, it doesn't bode well for people in the future trying to do maybe anything to benefit themselves or assert leverage. Uh, like the NBA bubble and the strike they did, the Wildcat strike they did. Uh, they fucking reeled in Obama to tell them to stop. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to pull him in.
like you have all of the leverage here, but we're going to bring in this very singular important figure to basically foo about this, and then nothing came of it afterwards. If there's obviously the road of being an independent or whatever is incredibly difficult right now. I have two projects I still need to like fucking hammer on. I have uh a job I'm running, a job I'm trying to get, all the while working on this, and also, maintaining my health, doing this or that. So it's like three to five plates spinning constantly, and a lot of the time it's fucking miserable. Uh, but the thing is, I think of this sometimes when I think about the image stuff and the dumb culture wars stuff. When I said the shit that I said and got in trouble or whatever, the thing was I got in trouble on my own terms. There
Yep.
was no one to fire me. There was
Yep.
no one to tell me you do not reflect our culture or whatever within this company. Image encouraged me to speak a lot. They didn't encourage me to say anything I said. They were just like, yeah, people pay attention to people that are vocal. And the basic axiom I think of when I think of that is closed mouths don't get fed. Uh, you you need to assert yourself and have a confidence in your own voice, and the when you cede your terms. You're not a bad person for ceding your terms. You have to eat. I get that, but like, uh, the problem with doing those sorts of deals en masse is that like you sort of unconsciously make the choice for a lot of people that do things independently where the terms for them working through vendors like Patreon and et cetera, they're going to change due to the market they exist in. Like where those softwares or whatever, and the intellectual rights for those designs, you may repurpose them or this or that, but there'll probably be clauses, if there aren't already, saying that this baseline template or whatever is actually the intellectual property of Adobe or this or that.
Oh, sure.
And that, if you do this or that and make X amount of profit off of it, then X amount is entitled to me, the person whose intellectual property you used for such. And that's the thing. You want to hold on to as much of your fucking money and your intellectual property as humanly possible. My comic, me and Remy own the rights to that. If we want to make a film or have it adapted or something, or chop it around to this place or that place, it's ours to do so with.
Literally in your name.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
What's going on food wise?
We're just snacking.
Yeah.
Got
snacking. Yeah. Got some
Carry
snack.
on.
I'm just
No, we're
I'm
good.
snackless, but yeah, that's the thing.
You know what I'm worried about? I bet we're
Mhm.
going to hear this. I bet you a VTube studio is going to say, actually, we own the rights to your voice. You can no longer speak on the internet because
On the internet.
you signed that away.
I could see
And I
someone
think
falling into that.
I think that's an enforceable contract, frankly. I think that they could enforce that.
I would say with recording contract stuff, what I would say for that is what's more likely is past recordings of you or compilations or whatever of you that have been monetized from X point under this masthead to this point to where you are now. Like Taylor Swift right now is re-recording all of her old albums because she does not own the rights to the masters for X amount of her old albums.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing.
it's more likely that it wouldn't be something like your own voice, but it would be like when you used our studio, when you used all of that stuff, and you had our production people, and you had this or that Swedish writer in the fucking room as you wrote your shit or whatever,
Well,
that's
it can
here.
be both.
Yeah.
You're talking about copyright. I'm talking about performance rights.
Ooh.
And they are
true.
they're two different areas of that kind of intellectual property law. And I'm not super up on that, but I do know that, there are things written into contracts, and some of it is morality clause stuff, some of it is non-compete stuff, and some of it is just pure intellectual property that a performer would not be allowed to appear in a place that they chose to appear because, their company wouldn't want them to do that. And that could be like a talk show or something like that, but I could absolutely see that being written into a contract. And let's say that you're, 19 and you're living with your mom, and the VTube studio gives you a contract and you read it and you're like, yeah, this seems fine. I don't know why I would ever want to use my voice for anything other than my VTube character. Fuck yeah, I'll sign it.
Oh, a non-compete clause?
A non-compete clause, yeah.
Non-compete clauses are fucking crazy like that.
Yes.
The reason Chuck E. Cheese it propagated in the way it did and did all of those weird dancing banjo acts and shit was at some point.
Oh, are we going to talk about the pizza explosion? Because I fucking love. Let's do this Five Nights at Freddy's shit.
I was going to say Nolan Bushnell, basically, when he got out of Atari, he was basically like, you can never work in the video game industry again at all. So Nolan Bushnell is like, okay, what can I work on? And there was this sort of failing chain. And really, Chuck E. Cheese has always went on from failure to failure, but like Nolan Bushnell would like sort of preside over the creation of the modern Five Nights at Freddy's ass Chuck E. Cheese. that we all know and fear.
Yes.
It's wild to think that like one begat the other. I'm not saying non-compete
It's
clauses
ripping
are.
on the Disneyland thing, the Disneyland robots too, right?
It is, and I was going to say the Rockafire explosion,
God
which
bless.
That I wanna hear more
was
about.
this is something that we should do an entire episode about because I am obsessed with it. The Rockafire explosion was the Chuck E. Cheese banned for a franchise called the Showbiz Pizza Palace between 1980 and 92. I'm not going to get super into this because, again, it could support an entire episode in of itself. But the genius who came up with these guys, all of the animatronics and hydraulics and stuff, they're all hydraulic robots. They're
Right.
insanely interesting the way that they work and terrifying.
Oh,
They are
God.
much more complex than the Chuck E. Cheese ones. But Chuck E. Cheese, I think, basically sued them out of existence at some point during the early 90s. And then there was a process called, God, what was it? What was it called? Concept unification. Concept unification was the Chuck E. Cheese takeover of the Rockafire Explosion Showbiz Pizza restaurant. So I will show you all a YouTube video that someone ripped off of a VHS that was sent to all of the Rockafire, the Showbiz Pizza franchises that taught employees how to strip the skin
Oh
off
my
of
god.
Oh
the
yeah.
Rockafire explosion robots and reskin them
Hell
with
yes.
Chuck E.
Yes.
Cheese suits
Hell
that were
yes.
sent to them. It's so good and so terrifying. So
rules.
yeah, concept unification. Nolan Bushnell, yeah, I mean he did some interesting robots on his own, but he will always be the supervillain to my favorite inventor who did the Showbiz Pizza robots. And so now to this day, you can tell which Showbiz Pizza restaurants were converted Chuck E. Cheese's and which Chuck E. Cheese's were built from the ground up, because all of the real Chuck E. Cheese's look like shit, and the converted Rockafire characters are much more dynamic.
I'll see your full circle and raise you 2 circles. Fucking Chuck E. Cheese.
I was just about to ask.
Chuck
this.
E.
I was
Cheese is
just
screaming,
about to say
baby.
this. I swear
Oh
to
my
God, before I
God.
clicked the link, before I clicked
It's
that
a,
link,
it's
I
a
was
big,
going to say,
it's a big fucking.
where
It's a big.
Is this?
where is the virtual Chuck E. Cheese mouse streaming?
He's not even virtual.
There-
He's a
there-
mascot suit.
Yeah.
Oh, word? Oh,
He's a furry. He's a furry Chuck E. Cheese.
No. You misunderstand, Eliza. He is a VTuber traditionalist. The rat suit is the true beginning.
This
we're
is
gonna go back.
amazing.
VTuber is going to recede to people wearing mascot costumes with a fucking webcam on them.
Yeah, I mean, if a fursona and a fursuit are like the physical manifestation on the polar opposite of the digital representation, then yeah, a big fucking rat in a costume is like, it's the only way we could go.
On one hand-
Fuck machine learning. This is where
On one hand, we have the 3,000-year-old anime shark girl, and the other, Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes.
This is the spectrum.
Hold on.
That's amazing. I wonder if they will take him to a VTube model eventually. I bet they would.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be, because they
I don't know.
they already have the CGI
give me
Chuck
a
E. Cheese on
second.
commercials.
I
I've
gotta-
seen these recent Chuck E.
I gotta
Cheese
check
commercials.
out the Chuck E. Cheese Twitch. See what he's
I'm
up to.
watching a video.
You
of
know,
him
they-
playing
they
Fall
would-
Guys. He's not talking. Does he say
What?
nothing? Is
Don't
it
talk.
silent-
gameplay on a
Silent
branded
Chuck
channel?
E. Cheese? That's
I don't-
terrifying.
Weird.
I don't
It's
see any
weird if he talks,
interaction
the
yet.
mouth doesn't move.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't
I
like
gotta
that.
find. I need
That's
to know
awful.
what this guy sounds like.
And weird, because it would be easy to just put the mic inside the mouse head.
Oh,
You-
absolutely.
You would think.
Yeah.
It's a very strange choice.
Or just lie to everyone and do pre-recorded audio or pre-recorded.
I haven't seen any horror VTubers yet. I'm sure that they either exist or are about to exist. But yeah, it would be, again, that uncanny movement would lend itself
yeah.
very well to a horror, some sort of a
It
monster
absolutely would.
outfit.
One interesting one I saw, and I'm
Maybe
actually
that's what I
forgetting
should do.
I'm forgetting the name, but it was on one of those videos I mentioned earlier that was like lists of independents. It was still inflected, unfortunately, by a level of anime horny where it was a guy's ghost inhabiting a porcelain doll. So the
Oh,
VTube model is cute but slightly creepy goth porcelain doll, and then
I
it's
like
just this
that.
dude hanging out in the porcelain doll. Yeah, he's like trapped in the porcelain doll, and that's his personality, which is
I
pretty
like
fun.
that. That's cool.
If you're a dude that
Yeah,
wants
there's
to
a
mix
little
it up,
story there.
I think
You know what
that
I like
actually
about
kinda
it?
rules.
Yeah, it has some integrity to it because it sort of glosses over the falsity of a dude like,
Yes,
being an
it's a big
actual anime girl. He
yes,
sort of rolls that into the artistry of, yeah, I
yeah.
like that. That's good.
He's like, "Oh, I died and now I'm trapped in this body, and
Um,
we're gonna play video games together," which
Hold on,
is
we
like
have an
very fun
update.
way to go about.
Highly relatable, frankly. I am also an old man trapped in the body of an anime girl.
There you go.
I have an
there it
update
is.
There's an
here.
audience out there.
I'm still watching the Chuck
Oh
E.
yeah.
Cheese traditionalist VTuber stream. Not only does
Has
he
he
not
said
talk,
anything?
he doesn't talk, but now I'm looking at the chat, and there aren't a lot of people here in the chat. It's less than 100 people. It's 4,000 views went
Oh,
live, but there are like
Wendy's mashes.
there are like 10 names in this chat. They're saying really stupid generic things. That makes me think they're all plants that are
ooh.
there to fill the
Oh,
chat
sure.
with overly polite talk. Mr.
That's
Charles Edward Cheddar, how are you this fine
I
evening, my
mean,
guy? Let's get this
of
crown,
course
boy.
they would be, because otherwise you're gonna get guys in there, saying some wild and crazy things to old Chuck if you don't
Right.
get the seat fillers in there.
Oh no!
Of course they're not gonna let, the peanut gallery into the Chuck E. Cheese street. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine if 4chan got a hold of that link? Absolutely not. Good
What
for
a
Chuck E. Cheese for learning, I
unfortunate
guess.
moderator job.
Link
Yeah.
subscribers
Holy
only, because it
shit.
must be. This chat is the cleanest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I did look it up
Wow.
because I wanted to remember the name. The VTuber who is a man inhabiting a porcelain doll is named Foxy Joel, which is a pretty great.
Can you give me
Pretty
that
great
link?
name.
Because that
Yeah,
sounds like a kindred
absolutely.
spirit, frankly, literally.
Let's look this dude up. Love that. Like I'm way into. Okay, so yeah, this is like someone who is basically on their way up, has 3.3K subscribers, right?
Oh, nice.
It's like a very interesting space to be in for VTubers. Because even the one that I like that I wanted to cite that is like kind of seemingly the most successful quote unquote independent is still pushing 300K subs like as of this month, which is quite a bit. But I do think that like the one I've seen most that is like somewhere in this middle ground of very cool and creative, not something akin to a weird like a K-pop life contract company type setup, is a project of a VTuber project called Vom's Project, which is a really funny name, and it stems from this guy Ghiati who used to make a bunch of Vocaloid music, and I think Voms stands for something like Vocaloid. Vox Monsters Project. So Vox standing for Vocaloid. And this dude basically went from being a Vocaloid music producer to starting his own miniature VTuber like group. He's got 3 characters that I presume he worked with the voice actors to make, I guess. And then he also streams himself as a really weird, creepy bird that I actually will show you guys a picture of right now. If you scroll to the bottom of this page.
Final
So like this
update.
is
Oh, sorry.
yeah, Final Cheese. No, let's get it in there.
So yeah, it does seem like he does talk about just interacting with the audience with softball questions in the chat of just like, hey, would you guys rather fly or have a lifetime supply of pizza?
Oh wow! I wonder how many times that gets posted.
Every hour. These kids don't know.
I see.
Let me get that bird.
Oh, that bird with teeth. I thought of Vocaloids when I was thinking about what I was talking about earlier with the machine and shit, because honestly, that's my nearest point of reference is fucking Hatsune Miku.
Totally.
And who could forget Dave Letterman just like standing in awe before this fucking terrifying hologram of a small digital child that is clearly not real.
I did not know that they did Hatsune Miku on Letterman. I genuinely now need to find that footage and
yeah,
watch
no,
David Letterman's soul die on television.
yeah, you could just see the moment in his head where he's like, yeah, I guess it's good I'm getting out of this fucking business, huh? No one's real now. This whips ass. But yeah.
But yeah.
Whew.
Has
So,
Miko
yeah.
ever appeared on stage with Tupac?
No.
Has anyone ever seen Hatsune
anyone ever
Miku and
seen-
Tupac in the same room at the same
I see what we're getting at here.
Yes.
So
Are you trying to
Tupac
say?
not
Are
with
you trying
I'm
to say
I'm not saying anything.
in
I'm
long
not
form? Are you
convincing.
trying to imply that, like Tupac, she is
Is
also
alive in Serbia?
yeah, is of Serbian
You-
descent?
when you die and become a hologram, you can look like whatever you want.
Oh god.
Remove kebab.
Oh my god.
You will get caught. I swear to God. Anyone who guesses the reference gets free pizza for life.
Oof.
What, remove kebab? That's deep lore. I just know the phrasings and the invocations of it, but could I remember the specific thread? I think it's about Serb-Croatian beef. Memory serves.
AKA the best YouTube commenters.
There it is.
They are.
I mean, you're not wrong.
All right, so
That Eastern white European beef hits different.
It does.
Ruben, has Chucky said anything yet?
He just says hello to people as they come in. Asks people
Does he
questions mainly
does he
about
say it with
pizza.
his voice?
Oh
Does
no,
he
it's
move
just
Does
a
he
mod
move
in
his
the
big
chat.
hands up and down?
It's just a mod
Oh.
in the chat, and from the 2 video archives, I don't see any face cam. I don't.
Is
The
it
Twitter
just a loop?
that
Like,
Twitter
is it a
post.
loop of 5 minutes of that guy in a suit?
No, the Twitter post shows like a face cam of like Chuck E. Cheese going to be on stream. The 2 streams I've seen of Animal Crossing and Fall Guys don't have any face cam. I haven't seen the cheeser once.
This
still
is
scrolling through
bullshit.
it.
That is weird.
You go to the Wendy's Twitch, and they at least have a freaky little Animal Crossing Wendy.
At least
Where it's got the red hair.
Michelle,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a Wendy VTube. I guarantee you before this
Oh
time
yeah.
next year.
Barbie
there's
was ahead
gonna
of a
be-
lot of these people.
No, yeah. Well, but
There was
the
a Barbie
stuff,
YouTuber in
Right.
full
But that was
on
pre-rendered,
Uncanny
right?
Valley. Yeah,
that
you want to
wasn't
talk Uncanny Valley?
motion tracking. That was like that was like scripted content basically of CGI Barbie talking to a camera.
Camera. I wonder if she's
remember
still
that,
at it, but yeah, she would do the same thing, where she would be like a YouTuber.
Right? But it wasn't live motion tracked, right?
Yeah, it wasn't live motion tracked, and they were done in the format of a vlog versus say streaming.
Yeah. It was very much a pre-streaming, more of like we're gonna make a vlog for Barbie, but in some ways it is very prescient of VTubing. Taking these it'll be interesting to see if somehow, like right now VTubing's in the space of everyone's an original character, even if you're owned by a corporation. They're not like pulling in anime characters or anime voice actors to do live VTubes with anime with like rigs that are set up.
That'll happen.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Of like freaking Luffy Monkey or something like that from One Piece. That's how I see a lot of this stuff getting into, when corporations start to catch on, basically, or when marketing people start to catch on. But the stuff I was talking about earlier does seem to be this nice middle ground where there's a VTuber named Amano Pikami, and she's had a couple super viral clips. Is a very funny, like a lot of the stuff I think that's funny about these VTubers is like half the time their clips are just them like screaming or like groaning in frustration or getting really mad at video games, and like just that juxtaposition of the rage with the cute anime is always like very entertaining, obviously. And everyone can relate to fucking up in video games too, so watching someone else do it is usually quite relatable. But this is someone who is tied to this producer. It seems to be a core team of I would guess 4 people, this producer and then the 3 Vocaloid, like the 3 VTubers that he's set up. And they are like smashing it out of the park as far as launched in March of this year and are now at like over 300,000 subs. I think it sort of represents most closely where this could get like. I just like, to me, this is what I would watch if I had to watch VTuber stuff. Basically, if I was forced to pick from this landscape of stuff that's going on that crosses the boundary of, or that intersects at the boundary of independent but really well produced and really like just full of like good I guess like kind of advancements of the art. They're very emotive characters. They have like crying face setups that they can switch to on that and stuff if they start to get sad in the stream, and ditto other expressions.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that about Adobe Character Creator, and I'm sure all of the other rigging softwares that it does all of the automatic stuff of like face tracking, but then it will also give you basically a set of keyboard shortcuts to trigger different stuff. So that's another way to control limbs, or I mean they even have you you can program a walk cycle if you want to. So I don't really know how I would use that, but yeah, it's set up to do pretty much everything.
It is wild. I've seen a few videos where they cut away and then they come back and it's the full body model rigged. So like clearly in a studio somewhere, they're getting up out of a chair and then like pulling the camera back a little bit or something like that.
Yeah, either that or they're just, they're still sitting, but they have the other limbs mapped to other controls. So it could be a marionette sort of situation,
True.
There's a lot of different ways to control it. It's one of the reasons it's so interesting is again, and this is only from one program that I've looked at, and I think all of the others are controlled in different ways. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's like this very interesting, like, if you want to see something, if you want to see tech get advanced in front of you in real time, this is like what you should be watching if you're like a nerd about that kind of stuff. Like,
it's really important to jump on this stuff early, otherwise,
because
you're never going to catch up.
You'll find independent VTubers who are figuring stuff out that the big VTuber companies aren't even really bothering to do because they already have their setup. They're already good to go. Like their 2D models are very, very like detailed, so they don't necessarily need to be doing other stuff.
Yeah.
But there's like, it's impressive how much they can start to track with when I guess I would imagine when someone really just digs down and starts to really build more stuff into their model, I guess is how I'm thinking of it. But like the subtleties of, instead of just my eyes, it's now my eyes and my eyebrows are separate, and my eyelids and my eyebrows are separate, and it's tracking to my face, like my lower face separately as well.
Oh yeah, Adobe Character Creator has all of that stuff. It has what's called a nutcracker jaw, so you can control jaw movement if you want, or you can just do mouth movement without the jaw. You can, it gives you this little sort of clowny face, and then you click each aspect of the face and then map that to the drawing. So you assign all of these different things. It also has passive background physics. For example, you can set the amount of wind that is going through your scene. So you could, have your hair blowing, or, whatever has been rigged to have dangle physics. They don't call it a jiggle bone anymore, I don't think. But yeah, dangle physics are certainly there. And you can set gravity within your scene. You can set, how stiff or loose something is, which is, again, mostly hair and like pieces of costume and stuff like that. So your basic anime girl setup, a 2D anime setup, the one that 99% of the VTubers have, not that complicated. I think if you were an experienced artist who was used to working with the program, you could put together a sophisticated anime girl rig in like a week.
Ruben tried to sell me on a concept earlier. We were talking today. Basically, we were saying, earlier on, let's imagine everyone in chat as a VTuber of some sort. And obviously, I fucking hate all of it. I think it's all bad, and every computer should be smashed with the sandiest rock. But he had this idea. Ruben, sell it.
This is just choosing your persona.
We're choosing our personas, our versonas.
Yeah.
Versonas.
I chose
personally, I chose
Jake
first.
Wait, do we have Jake's persona already?
Please tell me what kind of VTuber I am.
You gotta remind me. I don't remember what was.
Was he a cat boy?
No, oh yeah, Lauren said Jake should just be a Catboy. I don't know.
That's so easy, but it's also true. Fuck.
But it was like
you were a
Bruce's head or
Catboy, and then
something?
we said you would be Bruce's Gajinka, so it would be Bruce as you
Yes.
as a
Oh
cat.
Yes.
yeah, sure.
I guess a Catboy. I didn't have creative input on that one.
There he is.
There he
the
is. There's the boy.
big boy on the bed.
There he is.
I
Such a good
chose
boy.
a pseudo versona of being all the characters of Killer 7, and I would do the animation where time stops and you explode into blood and come back as a different character. And I would do all the character voices being Coyote
Ooh.
Smith, Con Smith. Just saying you're fucked.
If there was VTubers who have form changes is going to be like an advanced tech thing.
We're getting there. You can see inklings
Like
of it.
magical
People
girl
are-
VTubers. Magical girl VTubers. There
It's
it is.
already on the doll guy that you sent me. That I scrolled through one of his videos, and he's got his he has a 3D model of 3D.
Right. Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's wild.
But then halfway through the video, he turns it off, and he just has like a 2D up. So that's happening. That's
Oh
happening.
yeah, that
already.
can usually depend on like if they're streaming a high intense game, they'll have to turn off the 3D rigging stuff.
That makes sense.
So I'm starting to see the inklings of like people that are running more like improv jokes on stream and doing stuff like that, or bringing in new elements. Like their character has like a special outfit thing or something. I think Gargora recently. Who cares? It was like their birthday or whatever. So someone made them a cake hat. So they were like, "Oh, my friend made me a cake."
Oh,
and
word.
then a cake started coming up from the table, and then they stood up, and it was their head wearing a cake hat. Stuff like that. So they could definitely
And the
get
2D models. I mean, for 2D models, you could receive a piece of fan art and rig it if you wanted to.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Ruben was saying, "Hey, Michelle, if you were a VTuber, you shouldn't be like you shouldn't be the pervert character, but you should be some sort of comic character that looks like you. And if you have comic artists on or whatever as a guest, just have them draw according to the rig, and then you're just their rendition of you that episode." And I was like, "Fuck, man, $1 million ideas."
Yeah, VTube commissions are backed up for like 2 years at this point. I mean, that was the other reason I started trying to learn Adobe Character Animators. It's like if I decide I like it, that is a recession-proof job right there. Is drawing and animated. At this point, I think I probably could do it. It's just I'm not getting paid right now, so I need to actually push myself to finish my stupid character. I think it would be really funny to have an incredibly crude like stick figure drawing, and just like that just sort of moves. You can also set, one of the things you can set is like to have it not be a smooth movement like most of them do, but to have it be like jerky.
That would be cool.
It would be funny to do something like that. Yeah. I would love to see more comedy VTubing and less fucking anime shit. I'm so tired of the anime girls.
That's very much what I would like to, even if it's, or rather like if it's comedy through what they're saying or comedy through just watching like there's so much potential for character models, like you were saying, like something simpler or something that's not like even something that's like if it was just like rotating through different static poses instead of an actual animation.
Radio plays.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
just
would
something
love
like
to see that.
you could do something silly with that. Yeah, like VTuber radio plays almost.
Yeah, or like the dating sim setup where you just have 3 or 4 different drawings of the same character while they're talking. That that would be cool.
It's very low budget, but it could just be like a funny way to
that's the thing. Like I'm so tired of watching other people play video games as like a whole thing. If it's a specific type of video game,
I've always been tired of it.
Specificity is the only part of it. Like I think now if I ever watch any YouTube of someone playing a video game, it will either be one of two things: no commentary, or commentary, but it's a milsim in a private server where everyone obviously a few days before sent out the thing, and 100 of us are doing like our Civil War reenactment thing, but instead for like
real nerd shit.
But I would do that
for like Warhammer
like
40K.
Arma 3.
Arma 3. Yeah.
I only ever watch people I know because it's just like, Tom Walker is great. He's a stand-up like an improv comedian. He's sort of a mime. I don't even know how to describe his work. But he's Australian. He's kind of a big deal. He has an Amazon Prime special. Anyway, we're friends on Twitter. We send each other pictures of cute animals. But he started a Twitch stream just a few months ago, pandemic stream kind of thing, and he started playing American Truck Simulator. And he has built this into this just enormous media empire in such a small amount of time, and it's so fucking funny. But yeah, now he's built up all of these in jokes. He will, people can pay to play backing tracks live on the stream, and he has to improvise a song. Just all the shit like that. And of course, the vast majority of us, including myself, don't have that level of talent. But I do really like that we are getting on Twitch now people who are funny as opposed to just people who play video games and scream. Because I'm sick of that shit.
Yeah, Limmy, the guy who did Limmy's show, very early adopter of all of that. And now it's basically a television set up in his home.
He seems to have paved the way for a lot of other people to start doing it and find success in their own right. Is just being a guy who was attached to show business, and in starting a Twitch community realized, I
literally don't have to do any of this shit.
You don't know.
I don't have to
have the
talk
audience.
to BBC people. It's great.
All you have to do is show up, and that's true of a lot of the parasocial stuff. Is if you have any kind of following anywhere else, you just bring it to Twitch, and people will show up for you.
And another thing about starting stuff on your own terms and setting your terms is like Limmy. We were talking about this earlier. He just regularly tells his audience to fuck off if he's playing a game and they don't want to see him play it. It's like, just fuck off, cunt. No, I'm playing Minecraft today. Because he's Scottish. They say the C word every 3 seconds.
Yeah. There's few streamers who I can say that I genuinely respect their approach to interacting with chat. Because for the most part, I think interacting with chat is an awful trap and leads to really boring stuff. But if it's a small community, that's like a kind of different. But if it's like, just all the thousands of streams, but the fact that he is just so blatant in telling his mods to ban people that he doesn't like, being outwardly aggressive, like not aggressive, but outwardly, like if someone shows up and says something rude, he'll just immediately be like, all right, fuck you, you're gone. And then like just moves on.
That's literally how you have
he has
to be if you have
he has a credo called block and move on. Just block and move on. I think that's such a brilliant, like more like that, please. More streamers like that.
Well, no, because the people in his chat, the people that are annoying and aggressive to him are in the minority, and everyone knows from his streams, probably don't fuck with him or you're done.
Exactly. Yeah, it sets the standard for the audience.
Which is how normal human interaction should fucking be.
Yeah.
Instead of forming weird asynchronous parasocial things. It's just throwing the wrench in that and saying, no, you're either going to talk to me like a regular ass person or you're done. Which is
people should be punished for violating social norms.
Yeah,
exactly. I believe this.
Many of these VTubers have to contend with this, especially because like one thing I was noticing is like with the bigger stuff, it's like these characters have like debuts, so people are forming parasocial relationships with the character models before they even see the fucking content. Like the content's happening from second one right in front of them, but they're already screaming in chat. They're already typing it with fury. And this person has been a VTuber on a debut stream for like 30 seconds, right? Yeah. It's very interesting to see happen. I was watching some of the VODs of the debut streams and how people are quite literally lighting up and pounding at the door saying, show me new anime girl. And that's something. I don't really know. Like that is wild.
And they're just doing like meme propagation of stuff as though they are like a regular person. Like this is like a fucking Megadeth album art map to like a meme for this particular character screwing up at a certain type of game with such specificity that it's almost like those welder memes you see, where those dudes welder memes where they're just like, oh, you can tell who welded this like shit, and it's not like the classic multiple dime weld you're supposed to do, where it's like nice and even and with the same gravitas as like, you know, your political memes with the bold text and shit. Just boomer ass shit, but mapped to these
Boomer
anime
Facebook memes.
girls. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Where like the anime girl will like have a fucking like do something dumb on stream, and then within 10 seconds there's 8 memes of it
Yeah.
flooding the
Yep.
chat that someone made with an image format .meme maker.
The term for that is an argot.
Oh, okay.
ARGOT. Argot is the inner language of an in-group. So it's, you know, it's one of the reasons why I say, you know, remove kebab, you will get caught. Tupac alive in Serbia. We all know what that means because we've been through that Darmok and Jalad shit already. Even me saying Darmok and Jalad, that's another, you know, it's a recursive meme. So, but yeah, I mean, in-group signaling is one of the few pleasures that we have as human beings, which is why we all want to do it all the time.
True.
Where I think it also runs aground of the weird uncanny valley thing, because I thought of that looking at like big mouse suit fucking Chuck E. Cheese and it running aground of that. Like, who is that for?
Yeah.
What's that? Who?
I don't know. I asked to go to Chuck E. Cheese for my birthday one time when I was a kid, and what I saw there just, I was like, what the I have made a terrible mistake. It was awful. Even as a small child, I was like, I am so sorry, Mom. I don't know why I thought this was going to be good or different. It's horrible.
Well, it's a copy of a copy. It's reproducing like the feeling of a cool Boardwalk arcade, but like with a copy of a Disney sort of
but with like a 15-year-old who just got his first job, like serving you pizza and like telling you to get off the fucking ski balls.
Yes, simulation and simulacra, etc.
Yeah,
it's wild. And then then it would stand to reason, where else does he have to go but there? If you're a cheese of Chuck.
I always wonder why the corporations are so bad at this stuff. I mean, I know why. It's because of the frozen cultural corporate framework where nobody is just like, why don't we do this? And then gets listened to. It always goes through a million. So I know why it doesn't happen, but I still don't understand why. Because anyone with a brain could see, if we put fucking Barbie onto Twitch on a live 3D Barbie rig and had her play video games and got someone really talented to do the voice acting and the puppetry, not even necessarily at the same time, and we have $10 million to spend on it, we would become a cultural sensation overnight. I mean, look at what fucking Denny's did on Twitter with nothing, with from starting from zero. It's so easy. It would be so easy for somebody to do that, and they never do. They just don't do it. We prefer to lose money, I guess.
For a lot of established entities, it's always, for a lot of them, is just like license renewal, and like doing that within the terms of how those licenses are. I think they're doing it now with like.
I mean,
I don't want to go off on a whole other different tangent, but basically, the way character dress works or whatever, with something like that, it becomes more malleable, and it's why they like to work within traditional established memes, because then they have to throw more money at this is like the trade dress for this thing, and it may look similar to this thing or that thing, or working within established tools of this thing.
Right, but we've seen examples succeed. The Lego franchise is a really good example. I mean, Lego was completely reinvented in the aughts, and now, you know, the Lego video games and the Lego movies are hugely popular. So they know it can be done.
Yeah, I think it usually is. To me, I've thought about this as well a lot, because big companies are just very interested. It really seems to be like almost a people problem, where I'm willing to bet at any of these entities, there are people at the middle to the bottom that are younger and more in touch that are like, this is a fucking whipper crack idea. This is gonna make my boss so happy. And then they pitch it to the boss. They're like, we need to get this, we need to get Barbie on Twitch. And the boss is just like, I don't know, that seems dumb. I'm out of touch. And that's where a lot of that shit ends.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And it's also brand dilution and like overvaluing a certain thing. You know, it'd make money hand over fist right now, especially now, given you can't go to, can you go to Disney places right now?
I think it's closed. I think shit is closed right now.
They're reclosed? They open for a bit.
Are they? I thought they were
Yep,
closed.
for a bit.
They like tried to do something, but I stopped paying attention because it was making me upset.
Oh yeah. Welcome, citizens.
I was just like, I'm not going to Disneyland, so.
But yeah, you could make money hand over fist, basically, doing a thing not unlike the cast members at Disney World, but just map the cast member thing to, say, a VTuber of all your favorite Disney princesses or whatever.
Yes, any of those cast members, and they're all incredible at their jobs. I mean,
of course,
the guy wandering around, any of many guys wandering around being, Captain Jack Sparrow, put him on Twitch. You know, that's all he does all day is that improv in character. He can do that on his computer and make unbelievable amounts of money. Like, it's so weird to me that people don't.
Well, a lot of those people would probably view that as dilution of the brand or whatever, and because they would be going into air quotes saturated market, I think I feel like a lot of those people only do it if they can corner the market immediately and then set the terms for the market. Like, I don't think that makes sense.
I think that their economic ideas are so outdated because you make your own market with this stuff. It is an infinitely expandable market. You show up, you are yourself, no one else can be you. You have an audience. All you have to do is just stand there and it will. I mean,
I think it's just like a lot
I'm saying this as a thin blonde woman, so take it with a grain of salt. But now anybody can be a thin blonde woman. That's what's so great about VTubing.
Yeah, that's literally like that. That is that's kind of the pitch, right?
Yep.
It's like you can just like, hey, you want to be a guy that's a ghost and a doll? Boom, you got it.
It's done. Yeah,
we are all
mind is your limit.
And it's free. I didn't fucking pay for Adobe Character Animator. I never buy Adobe products. This shit is free. I just sit at my computer, I move my little tablet around, and I come up with this thing that could generate me potentially unlimited income. Let's say that I wasn't.
It should be noted that Eliza has gained this software through Minecraft and Minecraft modding specifically. This is a lot of redstone is moving back and forth on the
game. You can really get a lot done with Minecraft mods.
I assembled it out of blocks. So I'm always telling people this, like, just it's fucking free, don't sign up your rights to some sort of company that's gonna take 20% and steal your likeness or whatever. Just fucking do it yourself. It's less work in the end. It really is. So I don't know. It's the 40 acres and a mule, except that you're not taking anyone else's land. The land is infinite. You just sail out to the edge of the map and it keeps going. There's Minecraft for you. There's the metaphor.
Yeah.
The wild thing is a lot of people kind of always talk themselves down from this, and it's like now most of us have smartphones or access to a computer or know someone with access to computer. It's not like you need to be bullied into it, but I feel like some people out there fucking sort of do need to be kicked in the chest slightly. I was.
They do.
Absolutely.
Like a mutual buddy. Well, I don't know if you're friends with him, but like a friend of mine, Carl, was like, "You're a very funny person, but like you're just like posting. Like you should try to not just tie your identity to being a funny person in this or that way, but like, develop it, cultivate it, and turn it into something, and like do that and write." Yeah, I wrote a lot of stuff. A lot of the shit I wrote was shitty, but like when you're working with peers and stuff, which you should also do, uh, you within those in groups, you will need to sort of seek maybe like a master or a fucking person that can act in a mentorship capacity to have sort of help you develop your editorial sense of self. I'd say this with any form of creation, VTubing, this, that, whatever. Just because you want to make something that isn't shit, and so you have to have some sort of editorial eye. And
Yeah.
if you're going out into business for yourself, that's something you absolutely have to do, regardless of medium. And here, where you have all of this access to the internet and means of communication, uh, you don't necessarily have to deal with the access culture within corporate entities or various other corporate entities. I see it every day. The culture of access warp how people talk, uh, how they try to monetize simple interactions between one another and commodify one another. When if you want to create something, you want it to be real. It's like, let's be artists together. Let's make something we laugh about or we enjoy, and show it to people maybe of like mind, or show it to people with the intent to alienate them completely and fuck with their head. And you guys think that's great and it's titillating and that's the artistic experience. That's like so much of it. Uh, and like a lot of the things we were talking about, like those old outmoded models of uh, of how things are commodified when you think of it in terms of dilution, or you know, will this like sort of lower our overall brand? You don't have to think in those sort of crazy terms. You can be like, this is the work I want to do. What's the best way to get it to people? And you just focus on what's really important, which is iteration on what you're putting out. Be like, better, move from strength to strength.
Yeah, because people want the same thing, but they also want something else, and that's what iteration is.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you with iteration also just comes, you're going to, by virtue of strengthening your skills, make something better. Like, and you'll be able to imagine things and mess with form. Like, the most interesting thing about VTubers, despite the fact I absolutely loathe and fucking hate them, and I absolutely wanted to begin talking about how capitalism will mangle this weird, awful creature, is that there's just as much potential to make a transgressive and different thing that fucks with the nature of the medium within, or with which this has been formed and has come from, and play with it. And that's how we get like different and new forms of art, is just sort of emergent experience.
Mhm.
And that's, at the end of the day, uh, we will be closer to that when you look at that which is there and try to digress.
Right.
Sorry,
Feels like we're in the
I'm on
phase
one.
where the like I hope that the weird stuff of VTubing is yet to come, because it's obviously all still very early, and quite frankly, a lot of it could be out there that I just haven't found it.
Right, yeah.
Because there are such small audiences for some of this stuff. If you're just in the single digit thousands, or even just a couple hundred, or even just like a couple dozen, I think at every level we're just now starting to have people who are using that access. So within a year or two, it'll be really, hopefully, pretty cool to see if there's like a talking haunted banana or something like that.
I want a
that
Judy and Punch show style like series of puppets.
Yep.
Where
Yeah, that would be
we got
freaking
puppet here,
creepy
puppet
and cool.
there, and
I would love that.
that would be
YouTubers being able
lovely.
to interact with each other is probably going to be the next thing. Like
Oh,
you will
yeah,
be able to network your clients. That'll happen, I'm sure.
yeah, like the co-streaming with two robot or two
Oh
two
dear
rigs.
God, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a sense, I guess VR chat is already that. But
VR chat
yeah.
seems somewhat tied to some of this VTubing stuff as well.
Yeah, because you can just move your model around. You can.
I think the only ceiling for that will be like fiber optic cable, and if it can handle the load of like VR rigging, the rendering of all of that shit, and then streaming something at the same time.
I mean, there's definitely there's technical stuff. I do wonder what kind of rigs the professional VTubers stream on. I'm sure they're quite nice compared to someone who's just kind of like working off their home desktop or whatever have you.
We're gonna get quantum
time.
computing because someone like wants to do Sonic and Knuckles like streaming with fucking Homer Simpson in a VR chat room.
Mhm.
That's how we get quantum computing. Oh my god.
Yeah, and Bitcoin at the same time.
Yes, yeah. That about sums up the it's like graphics cards, I'm sure. I mean, we already know there's like a giant run on them, but the more and more this type of what's the word? Work, I guess. The more and more this type of work becomes very hardware dependent. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me that we're kind of coming back around from the average person having not really much computational power other than what's in their phone to now, maybe not the average person, but I'm going to have to build a PC, not because I want a game, but because I need to be able to support all this other stuff that I'm going to do while I game online.
Mhm.
And I have to have this beefy rig. I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe it doesn't even push that much power, but just the idea of like, it's not just a video camera; it's a whole nother thing that's happening that your computer's having to compute and throw up there at the same time as doing all the other streaming stuff. I mean, like, all I'm really getting at there is that there's like somewhat of a level of access going on with, if I only have my laptop, I can't have a super highly detailed VTuber stream. But yeah, that's kind of just a weird tangent I was thinking about.
Well, no, I think that shit'll become cheaper basically as the air quotes needs get pushed. I don't know if video game developers had the push they once had where hardware cycles would literally change based on a id software FPS's graphics capabilities. Right. I don't think we're there yet with that, because otherwise, Christ, we would all be running like Pixar ILM type shit right now.
Right.
So there is that little bit of like you were saying, I guess, access and like specialty software / hardware means for like a certain type of digital worker or artist.
Yeah, it just strikes me that to be someone who is making a VTuber career happen on their own or with very little help, it would require a lot of disciplines.
Oh yes, because good Lord, all of the things you need to know in order to be like a Pixar artist or whatever looks completely different than, say, being a traditional 2D artist.
People with a theater background are going to have an advantage here. For the first time in decades, actually. It's interesting seeing, skills that I haven't used since I was 12, in the children's theater company suddenly becoming relevant again. Which, I mean, that's been kind of constant. Like, my very liberal arts education as a kid has been applicable in many strange ways that nobody predicted, but particularly on the internet. So, I don't know. Mac is going to their own chipset. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah, they're leaving Intel and they're going to their own. So I'm interested to see what hardware changes are going to happen from that.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
It seems bad. I don't feel good about it.
I don't either.
It's always good when Apple makes something proprietary.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm worried about. No, I don't really care. I am one of these people who just goes back and forth between the platform, so I don't give a shit. Are there like Mac guys and PC guys anymore? Is that still a thing?
I feel like if it is, you're only that person to a small audience and no one else gives a shit. Like, like you can have as much pride as you want. There's just no one who's going to care that much. Like,
Yeah. I
I
haven't
know that
seen like a genuine Mac versus PC argument in a very long time at this point.
a thing I encounter with, let's say, more norm core people is that when they just get angrier at Windows than they do. So now we're recording again, and this will be where we come back in.
Yeah.
To close things out.
In terms of this, I think we're going to need to start thinking about transformative art more and more now because of legal shit too. I was thinking about this with Twitch and DCMA stuff, despite the fact that like video game companies paid money to license music, have it put within their game, and a part of promoting a video game now is Twitch streaming of the game. Now, does that translate directly into sales? The data people have on YouTubers is like, just because like a popular guy like PewDiePie plays your game and has footage of him doing so, doesn't mean that that's going to directly translate to sales. Like the metrics aren't necessarily there for that. It can have a viral component to it, but virality is a phenomenon on its own. I think with VTubers, where I think you will have to kind of make your own thing, will be because like the traditional avenues of having X thing there and really available for you, I think is, as all things, I keep reiterating this, like the floor is shifting under your feet more and more, generally in the West, in the world, and creating things and doing anything on your own terms, I think, is going to change a hell of a lot. And for this, like, I think there's enough whimsy in it that makes me inherently distrust it. But like, if there's a positive thing about it, it is that people are being like enraptured by whimsical shit.
True.
Like,
Yeah, sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I think it is a collective, like, if you show someone VTubers, their immediate reaction's like, well, that's some future shit. Like, that's some shit I ain't seen before. It kind of is some stuff you've seen before, but in a new package. But like, it's very, I don't know, that like we talked about at the very beginning, that weird disconnect of the anime avatar just slightly moving around and blinking, knowing that's tied to a real person, is very novel. Very novel.
Yeah.
when it stays novel, I don't like that, like, 3 weeks after, something is, a novelty, then it's a given, and then old bad human patterns of associations and like overinvestment and stuff. But I think there's enough of the human component, but also enough of a lacking of a human component, if that makes sense, that we aren't in immediate danger of that happening super fast, which is interesting about it. And sort of, that's an interesting part of any art that I think people should pursue more and more often. I don't know. That one person's thought.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I mean, it's a weird future, and VTubing is just one of those things that we came here to talk about today, I feel like, because it's so fresh. It ties into kind of the idea of independent creation and how these new avenues are opening up for anyone who considers themselves any type of artist to learn a new skill and maybe get into a new mode of expression, really. But then how that also just ties right into, at the end of the day, there's going to be big companies doing this shit too. And they're going to set a lot of the weird standards and a lot of the weird paradigms that hopefully other people come in and fuck up.
Yeah. Like Ruben had asked me, like, what would I want mine to be? I would not want to look like a face. I want to look, if I had a VTube or whatever, I would not want it to be things recognizable as what I map to the human face. It it could maybe even be like a series of shapes and lights that signify higher tone and lower tone, and it looks like a cross between a Winamp skin or an object that is being cursed or
right,
has been
like
cursed
an
already.
intelligent nebula that they would run across in Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually follow some people on Twitter who, you would sort of call them furries, except that their personas are like featureless orbs floating in an internal void, or like an obelisk that is on top of a centaur that's covered in like Hellraiser bondage shit. These people are so fucking cool, and I cannot wait until they get onto Twitch, because a lot of them have like genuine dysphoria related to not being a featureless orb floating in a eternal void. And so I would love to sort of learn more about the medicalization of VTubing as a way to soothe dysphoria of any kind, either gender or just being a big weirdo. Like, I don't want to have a face at all, and I shouldn't. And finally, there's a way for me to represent myself in real time as this silver pyramid in the middle of a forest. And you could set that up, and it would be very easy to do. And then, bam, you're up there, and there would be an audience for that, a small but extremely loyal audience. So
yeah,
I haven't seen any of those VTubers yet, but they are either out there or they will be soon.
I want to watch a wall of teeth play Madden 2021. That's our future.
Yes.
Like, we can make it happen.
I'm into it. Yeah, I would love to be an inanimate object of some sort as a VTuber, where you could still rig some sort of movement to it, but it wouldn't be like facial expressions, right? That when you talked, just the top door of the refrigerator opened up like a mouth.
Hell yes.
That would fucking own. Like, something like that would be my VTube of choice.
When you don't realize you're saying racially charged things, lettuce falls out of a certain shelf of yours. We don't know how you were able to get that set up in the rigging process.
When I scream, it's
very ephemeral.
So Jake's Visona is a racist fridge. I'll get started on that right away. I can just open the character and it would be very easy.
But it's like it's very cute and sedate. So there's like magnets with like pictures that Bruce drew for you on the fridge.
Oh yes.
Here's me, Bruce,
and we're in there.
No more race. Yeah, okay. We'll take the racism out. Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, on that note, we have been talking for quite a bit. We're gonna let you go tonight. As always, Michelle Perez, Jake Rubin, and Eliza Gager. I'm Michelle Perez again, and this was Working on It.